Long way, get this shit a long way, shit a long way. Long way, hit the long way, 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 shit a long way, 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 shit a long way. Gotta get the shit a long way, get the shit a long way, gotta get the shit a long way, finish rich, yeah. Gotta get the shit a long way, get the shit a long way, shit don't really understand, man. Gotta know what shit don't really understand, man. Gotta get a mirror, shit don't understand, man. She be trippin' every day, she be trippin' every way, but I gotta get the shit a long way, yeah. Tryna get money every single way, tryna get money every single day, yeah. Get money every single way, every day. Every day we gotta get paid, yeah. Every day we gotta get paid, yeah. I'm feeling like we been a new slave, no, we gotta finish rich, no, we gotta finish rich. Got a new bitch, she don't understand rich, she don't understand, she's gotta get rich, she don't understand, sometimes we gotta hit lit, no, we ain't hit lit, tryna get the long way, yeah. Tryna get the shit the long way, yeah. Cause you tryna wrap up a entree, yeah. Told you the other day that did my phone strong. We gon' shoot the long way, we gon' get the long way, yeah. Yeah, get the shit the long way. My bitch be trippin' back and forth like a phone way. My name is Atari, I ain't playing games, so I'm done Atari. Yesterday she told me that she bout to leave, man. Said fuck it, bitch, we gonna get some money. Said fuck it, bitch, I'm about to get some money. So what I do today, I went and got some money, yeah. Cause we gon' get the shit the long way, we gon' get shit the long way, yeah. Back and forth like the pong way, yeah. Man, I'ma get the shit the long way, get the shit the long way. Just the only way today, because they go with shit's crazy. We gotta wear a mask, we the new slaves, and we be wearing this shit like every day. We be okay, we gon' be okay, they gon' be okay, they gon' be okay for me, yeah. So we gon' get the shit the long way, 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 yeah, we get the shit the long way, yeah. Cause we gon' be okay, we gon' be okay, yeah, we gon' get the long way, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Savings Minus Debt. What's up, Omanike? What's up, Nick? What's happening? What'd you say, Nick? I see debt slaves with my eyes. Don't even need Vision OS. Nope, don't even need it. Man, welcome. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I'm LJ Young, your host and founder of SMD. SMD is not me. SMD is a family of people like me that understand that capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative. Okay. Now, I wasn't born with this information because I was what's called a debt slave. And debt slaves are people that believe they own things with no money of their own. Okay. Those people are called debt slaves, and they live on the negative side of the economy. That was me. Okay. Go to school, get a high school education, go to college, get good grades so you can make six figures and work at a great company. And then you go get you a house and a car and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you made it. That's what everybody says in the debt matrix. That's why they always throw the six-figure number around all the time. Hey, if you get to six figures, you made it. Well, so I went along with it and did it. Kept my credit good, kept all my payments up. And then I got to that six-figure mark like everybody wants to get to. And I was like, now what? What happens here? That's exactly what I said. I was like, what happens here? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happened. You know why? Because I didn't own nothing. I didn't own anything. My car, where I lived, my multiple credit cards, student loan debt, but I was making six figures. And it looked like on the outside, I made sure to the world on the outside that they could tell I was making six figures by where I live and what I drive. But once I got there, I was like, wait a minute, this is not right. Anyway, I found Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey said, take the calculator and the baby steps, get out of debt. And that's what I did. And I got to zero. And you know what happened when I got to zero for the first time in my entire adult life? You know what happened? I realized credit reports are nothing more than owner ledgers. They just keep track of all the businesses that own you. And credit scores are reward points for staying in debt with your owners. That's all it is. That's what it is. Now, had I not got out of debt, I would have never known that. But this is let me not skip over what really woke me up so you guys can really understand this, okay? The bank really woke me up. They are the ones that woke me up from the debt matrix. They woke me up because one time I went to get a loan. Long story short, I went to get a loan. I never got turned down for loans or anything. But this time they turned me down. And then they pointed me to the debt to income ratio calculation, something or other that they had that mailed it to me or emailed it to me or whatever, right? So I read it and it said pretty much said, hey, you only make this much money, but you got about 10 times that in debt. That's what debt to income ratio means. All right. So you can, long story short, but what caught me by surprise, I was like, wait a minute, but that doesn't change the fact that I still have good credit, never missed payments, always paid back all my loans before on time, never missed payments or anything. But this time you told me no. You mean to tell me I followed all the rules and then I start to realize, wait a minute, by following all the rules, this is why I got in so much debt. Yes, that was it. Then I found Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey said, take the calculator and these baby steps and get out of debt. That's what I did. And voila, now I'm here. Fast forward about 8 years, 6, 7, 8 years. Now I understand that capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative. That's how I'm here. All currency is psychological for people in debt, aka debt slaves. You guys are the currency. It doesn't matter what you're holding. Now you're probably thinking, well, LJ, what are you talking about? What do you mean currency is psychological for me? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to hold $20 in your hand, okay? And open up the calculator app in the other. Make sure you're holding $20 in your hand. The denomination really doesn't matter, but I just said pretty much everybody probably have a 20. And then I want you to open up the calculator and put in $20 minus your car payment. Now, according to the calculator, do you have $20 in your hand? The answer is no. Okay, now I'm going to make it reappear. According to your eyes, do you have $20 in your hand? Ta-da! See, it's psychological. It doesn't matter what you're holding. That could be $20 worth of gold. It could be $20 worth of silver. It's all the same. You guys don't know that. So everything is you. Everything you guys see, taxes, debt, whatever, is you. So with this gift, I'm allowed, I could see what companies are doing and how they're doing it. Well, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm a master at anything. I don't want you guys thinking that. This is strictly my opinion, okay? Now, when I saw Google come out with their goggles, and then I saw the price, like $3,500, I was like, God damn. But you know what? First of all, Apple products are hands down phenomenal, okay? I'm not saying they don't deserve the price at all. I'm not saying that at all. Because their products are phenomenal. Let me make sure that's straight. But when I saw a $3,500 price tag, I was like, because you guys must understand something. Debt slaves, you guys have no money to buy anything at any price, let alone $3,500, okay? But I thought to myself, okay, why $3,500? And then I said to myself, okay, I kind of see what they're doing. Debt slaves, they're already pretty much hooked on Apple products anyway, right? Debt slaves will finance $3,500 to make a statement. Hey, look, I'm the first one with the goggles, and look, that means everybody already knows how much it costs. That means they think I'm rich because I got me a pair and my wife a pair and my kids a pair, and that's like $3,500 a piece. But what you guys don't understand is you guys are making payments on those. When you finance goggles, that you don't brag about financing anything, especially goggles. I don't care who makes them. But you guys also don't understand, like, have you noticed like every single company has some kind of afterpay, something attached to to their company? Have you noticed that? Nike, all the big boys, Amazon, every single business, Walmart. You know why? Because they fucking have to. The economy is down. Afterpay businesses are making billions. So that means you guys have no money, none. So they have to do that. Now, those companies are like, the majority of those companies are like side companies that join Amazon and Nike and stuff like that. And they get a piece of their profits. Nike and those guys have to, listen, Nike and those guys have to pay those guys. They have to pay those guys. You know why? Because if they didn't do that, they wouldn't make no money at all, because debt slaves have no money right now. Billions of dollars in revenue says that. You guys have absolutely no money. Now, can you imagine these companies, how many was probably licking their chops to say, which one's going to get Apple? Who's going to get Apple? Who's going to get that money? Because that's big money. And you know what Apple did? Said, hey, we know we have to do it too, but we're going to create our in-house Afterpay. Apple Pay later. What you guys don't understand is that only debt slaves use Afterpay services. Do you guys understand that? You better believe Apple got that shit in play real fast before those goggles came out. Their pay later services, that had to be in place first. Because if it wasn't in place first, they wouldn't be selling no goggles. Do you understand that? They're slaves. They wouldn't be selling nothing. But that's not my point. I don't care. It's good business. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, okay? I don't care. I don't care what you guys finance. But I'm just saying like this. I'm looking at Apple. I'm like, damn. You see what they did? You guys don't even understand how many other big businesses are envious of them making their own Afterpay service in-house. Apple knew they had to do it. They had to do it. Okay, that was a must, but they said, fuck that. We keeping the money in-house. We gonna make that money. Every company knows the demographic of customer that they're dealing with when they use Afterpay services. They know exactly who they're dealing with. People with no money. And don't get me wrong, it's not, listen, I don't want you guys thinking it just has something to do with people using Afterpay. There's people that use credit cards. They finance goggles too, okay? But the people that use Afterpay are worse than people that use credit cards. Those Afterpay businesses, right? They're just taking advantage of the economy right now. That's all. That's all that's happening. Congratulations, Apple, ahead of time. Congratulations on that. Everything looked like it's in place too. Ready. Apple Pay later's ready to go. As soon as those goggles go on sale, you better believe that. They're going to max that shit out. They're going to make sure you have just enough credit to cover the goggles too. Believe that, and probably a little bit more. Oh yeah, you could break that up in 5 easy payments, but I'm sure they're going to have $3,500. They're going to have extended plans, but they're going to have extended pay later plans for you guys. Paying 2 years, 3 years on some goggles. Man, Apple, they about to kill the game with them. I bet you that, man, those goggles right there. Now let's go back just to the product about financing goggles. they already got their loyal followers right now with just Apple phones. Okay. Can you imagine with these goggles, man, what they're gonna do? And this is just my opinion. They're gonna probably create some VR Apple World. And then everybody's going to think Apple World is the best world. That's where all the rich people live and this and that. You guys are going to come up with this wild ass shit, right? And then they can just come up with a world, start having you guys finance houses and finance virtual houses and finance virtual land, all that. Based on what? Capitalism, debt slaves? Let me make sure you guys understand something straight, okay? It doesn't matter what VR world that will be created. Whatever world they create will be based on capitalism. That's all you guys know, debt slaves. So they're not gonna reinvent the wheel. If they're charging $3,400 for some goggles, you imagine you try to rip somebody away from out of the Apple world right now with just phones. Can you imagine? You get some Apple people up there with the goggles, finance a house, some virtual house, virtual land, virtual store, finance it all. Guess what? Now they're trapped. They're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. Hey, you don't make these I'm sure they're gonna write all that stuff in there. You come in here, you got your virtual land, you don't make these payments. It's going to go up for auction, sell it for tax, just the same capitalist system out here. Same thing. They're going to make a killing, man. Oh, my God. Just the demo shit. I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, wow. That is amazing. But I'll let you guys ride out the first generation. Because I was around when the first cell phone came out. I was around when you had to carry like a little suitcase on your side, and the phone came from out the briefcase, so you had to hold it over your shoulder. That was one of the first mobile phones that you could walk around. You could walk around and talk on the phone. This is what that reminds me of. Because Apple does stuff good, sleek, different. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come out with cooler and cooler. And if you get stuck with one, and you still just imagine you're still financing the first generation of goggles 2-3 years later, and they're already up to version 3, and you still making payments on version 1. You're going to be very mad at yourself. Think about it this way. The first generations are $3,500, right? Imagine when they get to version 3, right? Which will probably be in a few years, okay? Imagine how much the first generation of goggles will be worth then, 3 years later. You won't even be able to give those away. They're about to kill the game, man. Congratulations again ahead of time, Apple. You know this is what's happening, right? Now, what's debt slaves are being, from how I could see it, debt slaves are now being subdivided. Okay, so all the debt slaves belong to the United States of America, all right? Now with these virtual worlds, these businesses will be creating their own worlds within there and making money, charging you guys for virtual shit, right? But it still has to come back outside of that world to the real world, okay? But you got to remember, debt slaves, they think they own houses with mortgages, cars with car payments right now. They're going to go in the virtual world doing the same thing. You see what I'm saying? They're going to go in there making virtual payments and virtual whatever they come up with in these virtual worlds. But I can already see it happening, right? Like if you're part of Apple's world, right? You'll have some kind of tag that lets everybody know that you're part. And what if Apple divides their world up, and just like the real world, this is the rich area over here, this is the not so rich area. They're not going to say it like that though, but you'll be able to tell. Virtual cars, everything. And you got to remember, once they get a debt slave, and This is why I think the big companies are trying to hurry the hell up and get the VR, because you got to remember, once they own a debt slave, that's it. Okay, if they can get a debt slave inside, wrapped in their virtual world right away into virtual real estate and virtual cars and virtual finance and everything, now they're totally invested in that virtual world and less likely to ever leave it. They'll be more likely to let go of a virtual world that they're not so, like, say, like they have some hard times in the real world, right? In the real world. And now they can't make their monthly virtual world payments or whatever they come up with, right? Which one you think they're going to let go? They're going to let go of the one they got least investment in. That's smart. Now, what I'm saying, you come over here, you understand that capitalism is psychological. You can go in now remember, each virtual world will have to base their financial whatever on capitalism. It has to be that way because debt slaves know nothing else. Okay, they don't know anything else, so they're not going to reinvent the wheel. Now, as an SMD family member, we can go in each world and create a dominating business in each world, because we know it's going to be based on the exact same model. Go in there and kill it. It's not, hey, listen, it's nothing personal. It's just business. Debt slaves don't know that. They don't know any of that. Now, the only thing I'm thinking about is Tesla. Because I've noticed Elon and Tesla is getting their hands into like everybody's business. So now I look at Apple now. Okay, so now Tesla's going, they're definitely coming out with a phone. Definitely. Tesla's definitely coming out with a phone, and his phone's going to be working by satellite. Now, if any company could take away an Apple user from Apple, will be Tesla. Because if you get his phone here, he's going to make his phone just as cool as his cars. That's what he's going to do. Okay, that's going to be right off the bat. But you got to remember, his phone's going to be able to work it by satellite. That means there's going to be hardly any dead spots ever, no matter where you are. Now that will make an Apple user think twice. Wait a minute, I won't have. You mean I could be way out in the country and I'll still have signal? Yes. You mean if I travel a lot and I just hop off the plane, turn my phone on, my shit's going to work? Yep. No switching of SIMs and all this other stuff? Nope. That's going to have an Apple user thinking twice. Believe that. But Apple has billions, man. So they can afford to put satellites in the air, because I think, this is just my opinion, they have to do that. That's not a choice. I don't think that's a choice. I don't even think that's an option. I'm sure Apple's already done that. They got the money to put them up there, so it's not really a problem if they have to do that. But they have to do that. But Apple's stepping out there big time, man. Vision OS. If you're a young IT person, I strongly suggest you start learning Vision OS. I strongly suggest that. Figure it out. I remember back in 95, when I was just a young cat, just doing nothing, working jobs, whatever, right? And I lived in Seattle, Washington. And I remember that's the home of Microsoft, okay? And back in 95, this particular time, Windows 95 had just came out, okay? Now, at this time, I know nothing about computers, nothing about computers at all, okay? But Windows 95 had just came out, right? And I remember Microsoft making that a big Big deal. It was a big deal. He was bringing in rock stars, and the whole East Side was shut down for this big old Windows 95 party. And I said to myself, without knowing shit about computers, okay, I said to myself, that seems pretty important. I remember saying that to myself. I said, that seems pretty important to bring in a rock star band and all this for like a week. I was like, huh. So at that point in my life, because I didn't know what to do. When you're young, you don't really know. Everybody's telling you, go to college, you need to do this and do. You know what I did? I'm going to tell you guys what I did. I stopped. I shut everybody out of my brain. And I said, what is going to make me the most amount of money that's going to be here for years? This is what I said to myself. What's going to be here for years? It's not going to go away. And I said, computers. That's exactly what I did. I said, you know what? Computers are here to stay. And that's when they were first coming out. Home computers and stuff like that. I said, it's time for me to understand what megabytes and gigabytes and terabytes and all this other stuff. I said, it's time for me to understand this. And at that particular time in my life, I'm about 27, 28, somewhere around in that nine, I remember I just went to a technical call. I was like, hey, let me just go to this car. I remember opening the door. Kid you not. I remember leaving my apartment one day, opening the door, and I looked down at my floor mat, and there was a brochure for a technical college that was not too far from where I lived. Come here, learn some computers, something, something, something. I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And then I went there and got my associates in the computer stuff, right? Then I got out in the world, and I met some good friends at school. Met a really close friend that really understood the inside workings of computers, and it just took off from there. Virtualization, all the way up to the six-figure engineer tier, whatever you want to call it, because it sounds good when you ain't been there. You hear these high power names. Oh, I'm level 4, tier 5, 6, 7. Those are names that the employer gives you. When you say names proudly that your employer gave you, you don't really hear that. Like when you're in the 40-hour work week world and you hear that, you guys wear that like a badge of honor. Hey, I'm a this and that. But when you're not in that world, that doesn't mean anything, because that belongs to the employer. Because when you quit or they fire you, they take that name back. Now you just have your regular name that you started with. I had to go through all that, and voila, now I'm here. Now I'm seeing what Apple, everybody's doing. You know how much, listen, you know how much Apple's going to make on their Apple Pay Later service when these goggles come out? You guys don't even get it. You guys don't even understand how much money they're going to make. All that $3,500, you know what they put that $3,500? It's a status symbol. Debt slaves love to do this. Debt slaves don't even know that they do this, right? Whoever gets those goggles first, they're going to be the first ones on social media. Huh, look what I got. And everybody that don't have them, they're going to look at them and say, oh, those guys must have money. Look, him and his wife have some. You guys have no idea how they paid for the goggles. And let me tell you something. If Apple's offering Apple Pay Later, that means they're financing them. That means a lot of people really can't afford them, but they still want them. That's what the Pay Later services are for. People that just will not say no to themselves. You know what? I cannot afford those goggles, so I'm not going to buy them. Those are the people that says, you know what? I can afford some payments. And you guys got to understand something. Those goggles are like $3,500. That's not a 4 easy payment plan. You know what I'm saying? That's not a shirt. That's not some groceries. They're going to be on that bitch like 3 years. Those guys are going to be paying on those goggles for like, because you guys got to remember, this is what you guys got to understand something that you guys really can't see. When you're in debt, you don't know that. It's $3,500 plus taxes. They're not financing. Say like the taxes on $3,500 is $200, right? And so the total is $3,700. Debt slaves finance $3,700, which means what? They're financing taxes too. For 3 years. At what? Who knows what that interest rate is? Can you guys don't even get it. Do you guys understand that? That's money. That's real money. Congratulations ahead of time, Apple. Congratulations to you guys. That's real money. They make the best products. I am not hating on them at all, but they know what debt slaves are going to do. They're going to get them glasses and say, hey, look what I got. I got money because I got the goggles. And all the debt slaves that want the goggles, they're going to actually believe the people that finance the goggles that they have money. Let me tell you guys something. If you are financing goggles, you definitely do not have no money. I promise you that. I promise you that. You think a car, listen, you think a car goes down in value? Can you imagine the speed of light squared of goggles? Congratulations again to you, Apple. Congratulations. That's real money. Sure was. That's exactly what it was, Gabriel, that the universe was talking to me. I became, and I'm telling you guys now, I became a successful VMware virtualization engineer. Great marketing for Apple. Make celebrities get it first. Yep. Mess with the masses' emotions and then force the majority to finance them or buy. That's what they, listen, that's what they used. And Apple's got billions. Pay a celebrity. It's business. Nothing personal. Shit. Apple probably tossed them a few pair of goggles. It don't matter. Because you guys don't know. Listen, when you're a debt slave, you don't know how much it actually costs Apple to make one pair of goggles. You guys don't know that and will never know that. And they're going to sell millions of these goggles. Millions. Well deserved. Congratulations, Apple. You better believe they said in-house pay later service. We're making it. Hey, we're keeping all that money. We're keeping all the money. We're not paying those companies shit. We're not paying you guys nothing. We're keeping it all. You know why they can do that? Because they got billions to do it. You know how much? Listen, can you imagine? And they had to do that shit fast. They had to create a pay later service software, something, and get that shit going and working perfectly. That takes money, but when you have money, you can do that. You can get the best talent. You find the people that are good and they know their worth. They go up to the companies and say, hey, this is how much I charge, but look what I can do. Companies, you guys don't even understand. Companies will pay. If you're good at what you do, a company knows they will pay you what you're worth because you'll be worth to them 10 times more. When I think about who I am today and I think about myself when I had a regular job, let me tell you something. Things would have been so different. Okay, here. I was in IT, right? And Pretty much every IT job I had, the employer always offered to pay part of my cell phone bill. Okay. I mean, a ridiculous amount, like 80% of it. I'm like, hell yeah, who's gonna turn that down? What I didn't really understand the psychological part of allowing that to happen. Now they can call me 24 hours a day without me saying a word because they're paying the majority of my phone bill. What am I going to say if they're calling me all the time? Absolutely nothing. That's the psychological part of it. I would have never allowed that ever. I would have never joined their phone with my phone. I would have had a complete separate phone. So when 5 o'clock when it was 5 o'clock and I was leaving work, I would power that phone off and put it in my desk because I don't need it anytime after that because they're not paying me for that. But they 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 got 24-hour access to my life for the price of a cell phone bill. Now, how does that 80% sound? That sounds like a deal. I used to get woken up. I used to get woken up on calls when I wasn't on call because I was really good at the particular area where I was at. I would have never allowed that. That would have never happened. I would have never, ever allowed that. But the most of it all is this. This is when you're in debt, you don't really understand why you accept what you accept from a boss or an owner, the total disrespect, because you know they're disrespecting you. You know that. Hold on. When you're at work and you guys are two grown-ups. Now remember, don't forget you're grown, okay? Because you tell your kids that all the time, but then when you go to work, you act like you're not anymore because it's your boss. You're still grown. That just happens to be your boss. It's two grown people, and one of them is just your boss. There's nothing more than that. But you don't understand when you're in debt. That's the reason why you allow the disrespect from your superiors or whatever, the condescending whatever. That's why you're allowing that because you're in debt. If you didn't have any debt and you went to work and you put it this way, no debt, let's say you got 100,000 in the bank. Don't say, oh, that's crazy. Just follow me. You have absolutely no debt with $100,000 cash in the bank, and then you go to work. And now imagine your boss talking to you like that. Now, would you still allow that? No, you wouldn't. You would pull them to the side and say, "Hey, listen, don't ever do that again. Yeah, don't talk to me like that. Okay, don't do that. Now, if you need me to do something, send me an email or just tell me. But don't tell me like that. That's how you would say it. If the job called you after hours when you were off and they didn't even ask you or nothing, you would say, "Hey, I'm off." You would probably wouldn't even answer the phone at all. You probably answer it, "Hello, hey, blah blah blah." You would say, "I'm off. I'm not on call." Because back then, when I was on call, this is the shit that just blew me away. When you don't really understand this, especially in IT. When you're in debt, making six figures, you're in a lot of debt too because you're making six figures. This is the dumbest shit. You get deeper in debt. But when we had an on-call service, right? Each of us had our own areas, right? Different departments that we were specialized in each different department, right? Then, the, but the person on call, when there's one person on call, that person cannot be master of all systems that might happen to go down in the middle of the night. Of course they can't, right? So all that person is doing is calling the person that is, but that person that is not on call. So what's the purpose? I used to always say to myself, then what the purpose of an on call is? Nothing. I was accepting it because I was in debt, or else I would not have accepted that. I would have been, hey, wait a minute. I would have been just like this. If I'm not on call, then why am I still getting calls? That's exactly what I said. Because you guys ain't paying me for that. You guys said 1 week a month, blah, 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 blah. That's what you're paying me for. Anything outside of that, you guys got to remember, anything outside of that is free. Because you got to remember, if they can call me anytime they want, they're pretty much saying they own 24 hours of my life. That's illegal. No, you're paying me for 40 hours a week. I bet you Apple probably treat their employees really, really good. It don't seem like one of them high pressure companies. It just doesn't. It seemed like this Apple's smart enough not to do that. When I think about companies like Apple, you know what? I could help Apple become even bigger than what they are today. Because you guys got to understand, there's very few people that understand that capitalism is psychological. Very few. Now, if they had a whole bunch of people, say like they hired me to come in and train a certain group of their people about capitalism being psychological. I come in, teach them that. They come, I bring them over to the positive side of capitalism. Now they're in a place that they're at Apple because they want to be at Apple. This right here would totally change. Like, put it this way: Apple sees what I do. I come in and say, "Hey," Apple says, "I'm offering this service. We're going to offer this service to our employees to understand blah blah to understand that capitalism is psychological. It changes their lives. Trust me, it changes their lives forever." Not only will they thank me for the rest of their lives, right? They will thank Apple for the rest of their lives for hiring me. Can you imagine the devotion a person would have to a company? They would, hey, Apple changed, Apple brought in this guy, LJ Young from SMD. He taught us how to do this and that, and it's totally changed my life. There will be Apple customers till death. Have a company with a whole bunch of employees that actually want to be there. Now, believe it or not, there's some probably there. You got to remember, the majority of people are in debt, so the majority have jobs because they have to have jobs. They have to. Imagine if Apple replaced the people that just have to be there because they got bills and won't get out of debt or nothing. Replace them with people that that want to be there on their free will. They're not being forced by debt. I know you guys don't think that's a big deal, but it is. You guys don't even understand productivity. Oh man. Now I know you guys always just hear me the debt stuff, right? But it's more than that. I'm just here to tell you it's more than that. You can see things. You see all these pay later services, and say like this is you. You're listening to it. You are the one. You are one of the people that use pay later services. Not one of them. Several of them. What you guys don't understand is this: those apps that you guys are using, those used to be physical buildings, payday loan buildings, and fast cash, this and that, all that stuff. Those used to be physical buildings. Now they're apps. They don't even need a building. It's in the palm of your hand. Your phone is the connection to the debt matrix. You ain't going nowhere without your phone. Anybody, you walk out that house without that phone, I don't care if you're 2 miles down, you will turn around, drive all the way back for that phone. There's not many people. Hey, listen, there's not many people that can leave their phone at home for a day. Not many. Not many can do it. So all they got to do is put an app on that phone. That's your connection. Pay later services are making billions of dollars all over the world. That means debt slaves, you guys ain't got no money. You guys have, and you still won't stop shopping. You still won't stop. Now, those pay later services were keeping up the economy afloat right now, because if they wasn't there, you guys wouldn't be able to buy shit. You guys think you're getting some $3,500 goggles? If Apple didn't offer Apple Pay Later, you guys wouldn't be getting no goggles. I promise you that. And we're not even talking about the new phones yet. New phones, computers, all that. Debt slaves, let's just keep it real, debt slaves. How many of you guys actually pay cash for Apple products? Not many. You guys can't, listen, you guys can't afford to pay cash for Apple products. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're making car payments, you're financing Apple products. If you have student loan debt, you're financing Apple products. $3,500 goggles, you are definitely financing goggles. Definitely. $3,500 plus tax, that's got to be like 2 to 3 years of financing. That's got to be that. At 29.99% interest rate, probably. They're going to make a killing. Of course, they're going to sell out. Of course. And guess who's going to advertise their goggles for them? You guys, debt slaves. And that first generation of financing people, you guys are the guinea pigs. You guys are the guinea pigs. You guys are, oh, it doesn't do this. That doesn't work. Okay, cool. They're just taking notes. All right, cool. Because you're not going to really know. The only way to fine tune your product, you got to give it to the customers. That's the only way you're going to find out what you need to fix. And can you imagine when they come out with the second generation, they look cooler. All the previous problems that were in the first generation, all fixed. That first generation of goggles is going to be worthless. And they're going to be, listen, $3,500, they're financing that shit for like 3 years. The second generation is going to come out before they're done paying for the first generation. And then what you think they're going to do? Trap them in hey, trade up the phone, upgrade, and all this other stupid nonsense. Get you guys trapped in the phone loop. Who knows? Listen, who knows how many you guys are trapped in the iPhone cell phone loop? You guys can't even get out. And that's not even iPhone. I'm just talking about cell phones. Millions of you guys are upside down in cell phones. Oh, and thousands of dollars, thousands. And you guys are about to get buried in these. Oh my God, these goggles. They're about to make a killing. That's real. Look, that's real money, man. You guys don't even get it. That is real money. But you know, all these buy now, pay later services, they got to hurry up. They got to hurry up. Their time is limited. Now, you got to remember, the buy now, pay later services, they know they're going to take a hit, okay? Because they know who their customer is. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The buy now, pay later services know they're going to take a hit because they know who their customers are. Okay. So they probably end up selling that debt to some bill collectors, and the bill collectors are going to make that money. I highly doubt if big companies are going to go after people, waste their resources going going after people that they probably didn't want to deal with in the first place. They got to hurry up. Let's go to the main reason. Taxes. The majority of those people that are using those afterpay services, those are the new food deliverers and the people that went from W-2 to 1099. Those are those people. When you're a W-2, the employer took out your taxes for you. They automatically did it. You know why? Because if they didn't, guess what happens? You guys don't pay them. So you went from W-2 to 1099, and guess what you guys are not doing? You're not paying your taxes. The IRS, listen, the IRS can clearly see how much money they're losing because all of the companies you guys are working for, they're reporting their earnings to the IRS and who they paid. So they can see it. They can see how many people are not paying. They can see it. I promise you that. Student loan debt's on pause right now. Student loan payments. You guys think you guys have all kinds of money right now, just not paying your taxes, not paying student loan debt. Guess who's getting all that money? Afterpay services. They're getting all that dough. But that's why they got to hurry up, because nobody overrides the IRS. Nobody. Or student loans. IRS number one. Student loan debt number two. Guess what? Nobody overrides those two. Nobody. So guess who is the first not to get paid? Guess who? When those guys kick in, which I'm waiting any day now. I know the IRS is gonna make a big announcement somewhere. It's gonna happen. It has to happen. When that happens, guess who's gonna be first? Afterpay businesses, they're the first not to get paid. The first. Instantly out of business. Instantly. But it doesn't matter, because I'm sure they already knew that. They already know that. The people, listen, only debt slaves use afterpay services. Only. It doesn't matter what person gives you an excuse to why. If you know somebody that gave you an excuse to why they use the afterpay service, you're talking to a debt slave. They making billion. Oh, getting a house. Getting a house right now. No money down. Where you guys think all that money's coming from? Some of you guys are doing 2 and 3 of those delivery jobs at one time, paying absolutely no taxes, none. Regular pay, tips, nothing. You guys are just keeping it all. But this is what I strongly suggest you do, okay? If this is you, this is what I strongly suggest you do. Go hire a lawyer and get your shit straight. Go to the IRS. Don't let them come to you. You go to them. First, get a professional that knows what they're doing. This is why. If you go hire a professional and have them do whatever needs to be done with the IRS, that alone tells the IRS that you're serious. Because if you're a person that hasn't paid your taxes in 5 years, and then you decide today's the day, but then you try to do it yourself, I'm pretty sure that tells the IRS that you're not really serious. Save your money. go hire a professional and go to them and get it over. Because what the people that don't know what they're doing right now, they haven't paid their taxes for years. You guys are now owned. You don't know that yet, but you are. You're owned. When you don't pay your taxes, guess what you're doing? You're selling yourself. That's what you're doing. You're selling yourself. One day, the IRS is going to send you a letter and they say, hey, we're coming to collect our property, which is you. You're going to receive a letter in the mail. They say, hey, we're here to collect. They already know you don't have it. So the letter is to tell you that they're claiming their property, which is you, because they know you don't have the money. That's clear. Car payments, Google, goggles, and all this other stuff, but doing everything else but paying your taxes. If this is you, you don't want to be owned. You don't want that. If I would strongly suggest is this, save your money, go hire you an attorney, professional that it specializes in taxes. Preferably, if you can find a tax attorney who has no personal debt, if you can find one like that, that's the one I would hire, okay? I don't know how you would find them. I don't know how you would do that. But if you can find a tax attorney who has no personal debt, that is the one you want to pay. That's the one you want to pay. Man or woman, it doesn't matter. Color, it doesn't matter their color, it doesn't matter their religion. Don't base that on anything outside, because taxes is based on math. If this person is personally debt-free, they know something that their colleagues don't. I'm going to say that one more time. If you can find a tax attorney or tax professional who is personally debt-free, that professional will know something about the tax system that their colleagues don't. If you can find one like that, you tell them that I sent you. When I look at numbers like with Apple, man, that's possible. Just the other day, they're like, hey, Dave Ramsey got this lawsuit with this company that he was dealing with. They was paying him $450,000 a month. I was like, $450,000 a month? That's possible? That's what I said to myself. That's possible? That's just, listen, and that was just from that company. That was just from the one company. And you guys don't really understand with Dave Ramsey. Okay, debt slaves. You guys don't understand something. There is something that's called phantom income. Okay. I'm just going by what he says and by the way he acts. You could just tell not only does he own no debt in his personal life, he has no debt in his business life. He owns all his businesses. Do you know how very few businessmen is in that position? That means, listen, that means he makes a whole bunch of money with absolutely no debt. That's called phantom income. Like if you made, listen, say like you made the same amount of money as Dave Ramsey, but you're double that in debt. Because that's the normal way people do. They will get amount of money and go triple that in debt. He makes the same amount of money, but with no debt. Money is psychological for people in debt. When you're in debt, currency is psychological for you. He has real money because he's not in debt anywhere. Now, I know you guys don't really understand what that means. Hey, Robert uses debt to do this. I know you guys do that. See, like when you hear, let's go to Robert Kiyosaki for a second. He always says, hey, I use debt. I always use debt and I get rich off of debt. You guys don't know to say, hey, Robert, what kind of debt are you talking about? Are you talking about personal debt or are you talking about business debt? Robert's going to tell you business debt. You guys don't know the difference between business debt and personal debt. According to the IRS, there's a difference. Now, according to math, debt is debt. But according to the IRS, business debt and personal debt are different. When you come to the positive side of the economy, you can clearly see the purpose of everything. You get to, let's go back to Apple for a second. You get to that level and your company's making that kind of money, okay? You guys got to understand that's a different kind of thought process. You guys are so focused on how much money they make or what they're worth. When you get to that level, you don't think about money. The reason why debt slaves, you guys think about money 24 hours a day, because the currency is you. Because you guys are always chasing it because it's psychological for you. That's why you guys always, like, when I was a debt slave, you always hear that thing. Oh, people chase money. Why they're chasing money? The reason why you're chasing it because it's psychological for you. That's why you guys never catch it. That's why you'll never know that it takes one day to buy a car, not 84 months. You'll never know that it takes one day to buy a house, not years. Just a single day to buy one house. That's it. Just a single day. That's money. That's real money. So now think about this way. So like you were making billions of dollars, okay? Now look at the price of a Ferrari now. You're making billions of dollars. Now look at the price of a nice Ferrari. That's nothing. You think I'm going to finance a Ferrari if I'm making billions of dollars? No, I'm not going to finance a Ferrari. You don't make it to billions financing depreciating objects and calling them assets. I always hear people call a car an asset. Oh, you got to finance this asset. Where do you see an asset? You keep looking at this car, but you keep mentioning the word asset. If you're new to the channel, let me explain. Let me give you an example of, once you understand that capitalism is positive and negative, this is what you got to understand. Any word that is used in the financial context or whatever, that automatically makes that word positive or negative automatically, because you're talking about calculating some numbers and some finance. So if you bring up the word asset, the word asset is positive and negative. What determines the positivity or negativity of the word is determined by the person using the word. So if you hear a person call a car an asset and they just said they financed it, they're talking about negative asset, because all they have to do is open up the calculator, put in their car payment minus their car balance and hit equal. That large negative number says That's a large negative number. So that means negative asset. So when you hear a person call a finance car an asset, they're a debt slave because they're talking about a negative asset. They're calling something that's negative an asset. That doesn't even go together. People will call a house with a mortgage an asset. A mortgage house is not an asset. That's not, if you're making payments, you don't make payments to assets. You don't, assets pay you. You don't pay assets. A house is an asset with a person that owns a house with no mortgage. That's an asset. But when you hear debt slaves call, listen, it's the same thing. But when you hear a debt slave call their mortgaged house an asset, they're talking about negative asset. They don't know that. That's the psychological part. Millions of people with mortgages, they all believe they're homeowners. They don't know that. That's the psychological part. What's the name brought up a good point though with these goggles. With these goggles, you can have the biggest screen that you want inside your goggles. So that means, you know what that means? TV manufacturers are in trouble. You won't need all these big screens no more. You won't even need them. What are these big TV screen manufacturers going to do now? TV prices, listen, that means big screen TVs are about to start dropping in price because nobody's going to be buying them. What would you rather do? Put on a pair of goggles and watch a big movie theater screen? You're sitting at your house? Or go out and spend thousands of dollars on an 80-inch? You're not going to buy no 80-inch screen. You're going to, hey, I'm spending this money on these Googles. $3,500 on some goggles or $3,500 on a big screen TV? You're going for the goggles. Flat screen TVs about to drop. These are all people that are nervous. Now, with Tesla coming out with their phone, listen, I'm assuming that Apple has the money to put satellites in the air if they haven't already. And I just might be talking shit if it even works that way. I don't even know if it works that way, but all I know is Elon, Tesla, putting satellites in the air all the time. If they tie, this is what I see. This is just what I see. If Apple, just like T-Mobile partnered with Tesla, okay? If Apple, no, because they each make phones though, so I don't know if they could do that. Because Apple makes phones. Or maybe Apple just realizes that physical phones are not going to be, these goggles are going to just improve, and then pretty soon they're going to be glasses and shit. So are you going to really even need a physical phone anymore? You know what I'm saying? Physical phones might be coming to be a thing of the past pretty soon. Who knows? I don't know. But if Apple partners up with Tesla, because Tesla, people don't really understand. I keep saying this. Tesla's about to take over the rideshare market. They're about to do it. People don't even, that's crazy. People don't even see that coming. All you food deliverers, you guys are about to go back to regular jobs. Maybe the IRS is waiting on that. Maybe. But all you guys delivering stuff, as soon as Tesla gets the okay, those cars, they won't even need drivers in those cars to be delivering stuff. The restaurant people could just pay somebody to take it to the Tesla. Like, think about it. Like, when you go to a restaurant right now and it's touchless and all this stuff, you park outside, they got a person coming out, bringing the food to you. All the person has to do is come out to the Tesla and put it in the Tesla, and that's it. They don't listen. They don't. Who do you think that people are gonna pick? They don't have to tip nobody. Right now, people are like damn near forced, because if you're bringing their food, they're scared that you might do something to their food if you don't tip them, right? So they're like forced to tip. Just imagine, no driver at all, no tipping required. Who do you think? Who do you think the customer is going to go for the delivery of their food? They don't have to worry about nobody touching it. It comes straight from the restaurant to their house or to wherever they have it delivered. They don't have to tip if they don't want to. They don't feel forced. They don't have to. They know their food is going to come inside of a clean car. The car's clean. It's not going to be smoked in. They know it's not going to be somebody that doesn't really care about life and they just doing this to make a couple bucks, but they want to fuck around with my food. No. Who do you think that people are going to have? They're going to use Tesla every single time. And they somehow tie their goggles into side of a Tesla or something. You know, that would be the shit. I ain't gonna lie. That would be nice. Who knows where Apple's taking that, man? Apple's, man, they're always so innovative. I'm telling you, man, if some executive here, I could help them just be bigger than what they are. Have a whole bunch of employees thanking them for the rest of their life. Man, that's like generations of loyalty to Apple. It'll be generations of loyalty. They get that VR world getting up and getting perfected, man. Get those debt slaves locked in, just like they have them now. Get them locked in. You cannot pry an Apple user. You cannot say, "Oh no, would you go to another phone?" Hell no. But Tesla comes out with a phone that can be used anywhere in the world. You better believe an iPhone user will think twice. They'll be like, "Huh? Oh boy, okay, huh." But it's really just like anything, because everything evolves. Every big company knows that. I guarantee you, Apple has never once thought that there is no way another company can come and beat Apple. I guarantee you they don't think like that. I don't think any big company thinks like that. Because I remember back in the day when MySpace was really big. MySpace was the biggest thing ever. If you didn't have a MySpace, you wasn't nobody. That was so big, you didn't think nobody could come along, and then came along Facebook and made MySpace just disappear, gone. Now here comes Tesla with driverless cars. He said passing down virtual homes. But you know what, Nick? They do it now. Debt slaves really believe they can pass down a mortgaged house to their kids. I hear that all the time. What are you going to leave for your kids? If you just renting, you won't have nothing. But if you get a house, if you have a mortgage, you're not passing down nothing. You think the bank is just going to step aside because that's your kid? No, the bank don't care if that's your child. Who's going to pay for this mortgage? They don't care if it's you or your child that pays for the mortgage. So if you want to, like, if a person with a mortgage turns the mortgage over down to their child and they believe they pass the house down to their child, I guess that's what they just believe. The bank don't care. The bank says, who gonna be paying for this mortgage? Oh, your kid. Okay, well, let's put them on. Light years, Nick. It's beautiful, man. And it gets better every single day. I can't even lie to you. It gets better every single day. Just like the title of this video, the goggles. When I saw that price tag, I knew exactly why they did that. For status. Any debt slave that has those goggles, they're gonna act like they have money. That's why they're gonna buy them. Gotta get them so everybody think I have money, and then everybody see them. Every debt slave that sees me with them, they're also gonna think I have money. You see how that went viral? Oh my God, I can't believe Apple's paying. They're charging $3,500. That's ridiculous. And it spread like everywhere, just like they wanted it to. Exactly, worked perfectly. Then you got the people coming on. Oh yeah, I'm about to get me and my wife and my kids. Oh, shut up. That's for you guys, debt slaves, so you guys can add up the money. 35, that's 7, another 35, that's almost 10,000. Damn, he got money. That's for you to think like that. You don't know how he's paying for that. If you finance something, who cares what it is? If you go get those goggles and you finance them, who cares if you have finance goggles? So what? That doesn't, and listen, that doesn't even include the insurance. You better believe. You better believe if you're using buy now, Apple Pay later on some goggles or some $3,500, I wouldn't be surprised they make insurance mandatory. Because you guys got to remember, if you're using pay later services, you like really, 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 really have no money. Like really have no money. So if you break those goggles, you sure don't have the money to fix them because you didn't even have the money to buy them. They're going. I think it's like car insurance. They gotta require it because no different than car insurance. You don't. If you don't have the money to buy the car, you sure in the hell don't have the money to fix it if you wreck it. Of course, they're going to mandate car insurance on it because you guys don't have the money to fix it. $3,500 goggles? Oh yeah, you guys are having so insurance, taxes. Oh, they're gonna kill you guys. Whoa, they gonna kill you guys. Kill you. I wish I had enough money to buy 4 pair of them and sell them for double because you know they're gonna quote run out. You know they're gonna run out. And I just charge double for the ones I have. Just charge double. Don't forget LJ Apple Care Protection Plan is $250 for the MacBook. Oh shit. Oh, wait a minute. They might wrap that whole thing up inside the payment plan. So they might wrap up Apple Care, the price of the goggles, the taxes, all wrapped up in the Apple Pay Later. Ooh, at like 29%, 99% interest rate. Oh, you debt slaves. You know Apple Care Protection is going to be at least 400, at least. Oh, congratulations, Apple. Oh my God. They got to hurry up, though. They got to hurry up. Soon, all of those available jobs, like, you know, when you go places, all those available jobs, as soon as Tesla starts that stuff up, I see those jobs being gone. Because you guys delivering shit right now, that's coming to an end. I hope you guys are paying attention. Think twice about financing some goggles. If you deliver food or people or you do Uber or you better think about the future. You better think about what's about to happen. You're not the only one that got to worry. Uber itself has to worry about Tesla. Lyft has to worry about Tesla. You got to remember, Uber delivers people, Uber Eats, and this and that. When Tesla starts, what you think is going to happen? Who do you think the majority of customers are going to be using? If I know I pull up a ride share and I'm guaranteed a clean car every single time I get one, who do you think I'm going for? The only app that's going to be on my phone is Tesla. If I want some food delivered and I know it's going to come straight from the restaurant, untouched, guaranteed, Tesla. Okay? All that, if you work for those companies, I hope you're paying attention. I wonder if they roll the negative equity of their finance goggles into the new loan for the next year. Well, you know, that's what phones, like, you know, when they always say, hey, turn in your phone and we'll give you this and that. What they're really doing is rolling negative equity. You know, when they say, hey, if you switch to us, we'll pay off your old phone. They're paying it off. So like the person still owed $1,000 and they wanted to come to a different phone company. The phone company would take that $1,000, add it to the price of the phone to whatever they're charging for, which is what? Negative equity already right off the bat. No different than cars, because you got to remember, this goes for the same as right now as pay later services right now. These big companies have to use pay later services right now. They have to. If companies didn't allow negative equity to be rolled into products, especially expensive products, they wouldn't be able to make no money. Like if the bank said like this right now, they said, hey, we are no longer approving any car loans if anybody has to roll negative equity into a new car loan. Guess what would happen to the car loan market? It would crash. When you see somebody with a new car, you don't know how much they paid for that car when they financed it. You have no idea what their interest rate is, how much they put down, how much negative equity got rolled into the new car loan from the old one. You guys don't know any of that. So as soon as you hear somebody mention car payments make the driver of the car irrelevant. It doesn't matter who's driving a financed car. It doesn't matter. So if you see somebody washing and waxing and putting rims on it and put a nice stereo system and you find out they're making car payments, when you see somebody do that, they obviously believe it's their car because look at all the stuff that they're doing. Because the majority of people who finance cars and then they add stuff to their car, they don't tell their insurance company. They usually don't tell them. Oh, I don't want to tell my insurance company because my rates will go up. Yeah, of course, they got to cover more shit. So they don't tell them and then get their shit stolen and the shit be financed. So somebody breaks in their car and steal their finance stereo system. Now they're stuck with payments, and they don't even have the stereo system no more because it wasn't covered under the insurance because they didn't tell the insurance company. When you have Apple money, I guarantee you they don't think about shit like that. When you get out of debt, you don't think about money like that. You just don't. Because once you come to this side, you understand that it's psychological. All currency is psychological for you guys, debt slaves, all of it. And then once you really understand that, and then you see what people do for money, for psychological paper money. Psychological. All of it psychological. Somebody say you owe somebody $100. Somebody will hurt you for $100 if you owe them. Somebody will physically hurt you. And then you go to the government's website and see how much they make $100 for, like 17 cents. This is how I look at things now. Somebody will hurt you for 17 cents. Hey, I don't even want that around me. They absolutely do. Listen, I don't even go to dealerships. The only reason why I would go to a dealership to buy a car, if I absolutely wanted a brand new car, because that's the only place I could go, right? But when you're out of debt and you live on the positive side of capitalism, this is what you do. You wait to a time like this, which is a very bad time for debt slaves, and you have cash. You go look for the car you want because 99% of the cars you see are financed. All you got to do is wait for a bad economy and get a hellified deal on the car you want. So what that means is that you go buy it from a debt slave under blue book value in cash because the debt slave probably can't afford it. They don't want to ruin their credit. Whatever they believe, whatever. Just we're getting a divorce. The kids, they're gonna give you some kind of sob story. You really don't care. You're buying it under blue book value in cash. You drive it for a few years, watch the economy come back up. Maybe you don't want the car no more. When it's time for you to sell the car, you sell it at blue book value. That means you drove the car for absolutely free. Debt slaves can't do that because they have no money. They have no money to buy a car under blue book value because the only way you can get a car under blue book value is in cash. You can't finance a car way under blue book value. You can't do that. You gotta remember, they're just businesses. They're there to make their bread. You gotta remember, if financing, if the banks didn't allow cars to be financed, there would be no business. There would be no car dealerships. Car dealerships wouldn't exist if people couldn't finance cars. Like if a car dealerships decided to say, "Hey, we're still selling cars, but we're not financing any of them," they would be out of business the following month. Because debt slaves, you guys have no money to buy any. You guys have no money to buy anything, let alone a car. Are you a person that has had car payments all your life? That's not normal. Car payments is not normal. That's not normal. Car payments are only normal for people who thinks car payments are normal. You want to be rich? Don't finance things that go down in value. Just don't do that. That's how you, hey, listen, you want to be wealthy? Don't finance things that go down in value. That's it. That's all you got to do. Get a job, live your life, and just never finance things that go down in value. You'll be doing pretty good. You'll be doing, put it this way, say like you had a job, right? And you're working with your friend, you're young adult, you got your first job, you're making about $40,000 a year, but you have no debt. But your friend that works with you has debt. That person's in $80,000, $90,000 worth of debt. That blows me away how a person making $25,000 a year can get a $60,000 car finance. That shit just blows me away. But your $40,000 with no debt is very different from a person making $40,000 that's in debt. I promise you that. Like you look at the when you look at the poverty scale, the numbers, they always say, hey, if you make $30,000 a year, you're in poverty and this and that. Well, you guys don't know this. You don't say, well, who are you talking about? Are you talking about a person $30,000 in debt? Or are you talking about a person making $30,000 and has no debt? Because that's a very big difference. Like put it this way. Whatever amount of money you make per year right now and you're in debt, guess what? You can't reduce your tax bracket. You can't reduce yourself at all. So you think about it. The majority of people that make six figures, they're probably at least triple that in debt with the house and the cars. And because people that make six figures love to show the world that they make six figures by financing shit. So that means if you're making six figures, $100,000, $200,000 right now, you're in a very high tax bracket. And guess what? You can't do shit about it to reduce it. Nothing. People in debt cannot reduce their personal tax bracket. They can't. When you're in personal debt, especially if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, but you're $600,000 in personal debt. Guess what? You can't reduce your tax bracket. Why? Because you have no money. It takes money to reduce your tax bracket, and you have none. What's crazy is the amount of people that call Dave Ramsey 100,000 or more in debt. You will never get out. What he said they call Dave Ramsey 100,000. Oh, well. Not sure what you're saying, 100K or more in debt. Because once, put it this way, I know when I was in debt, even making six figures, right? Because I get the psychological part. Even making six figures, I didn't want to face my student loan debt. I kept saying stupid shit like, oh man, that's the price of a car. That's a good down payment on a house. I used to say that stuff all the time. Yeah, it is, but you don't have it and never will as long as I have it. You know how hard it was? Because my student loan debt was my last debt. You know how hard it was to pass my check after check after check to the student loan place until it was paid off? That shit was hard. Because I knew when you have large amounts of student loan debt, you already know it's going to take years to pay off. If you just stick with a regular job, okay? Now, if you create a different business, that's different. But if you have a regular job and you decide you're going to just pay off your student loan debt with your regular job, you know it's going to take years. That shit was hard, man. And then once you get out, once I paid it off, and then I see all the businesses that use student loan debt for you guys, because they already know psychologically, they already know the majority of you guys with student loan debt, you've already made it up in your mind that you're not going to pay it off. Do you know how many people with student loan debt are going to finance Apple goggles? You know how many people that haven't been paying on their student loan debt for the last 3.5 years, they're going to finance some Apple goggles? Do you guys know that? Yes, they are. Oh, I might as well live life now. You guys say all the same thing. Oh, I'm gonna just reduce my life and not live life, and you only live once, and this and that. So if you don't pay off your student loan debt, guess what you're gonna live life as? A debt slave, all the way until you're dead. Which say, Gabriel, that's why when you say wealth is not a look, I really get that. Sure, it's not a look. It don't look like anything. When you're wealthy, you can make it look like anything you want. I can make it look like a Ferrari. I can make it look like some jeans and a t-shirt. Did you work overtime, LJ, or was it just no, I did a lot of overtime because once I saw it start disappearing, the weird thing is this: when you see when you start to see the debt start to disappear, you start thinking of faster and faster ways to make it happen faster. If I work overtime, or if I reduce this, do I really need cable? Do I really need this payments of this? You start, okay, what's my cable bill like? I haven't seen that, and you'll start looking at I remember I used to pay. Here's a quick example. I remember I used to pay, just like everybody else, pay your insurance month to month. I found out it would be less if I paid every 6 months. Since I was out of debt, I now had the money to pay for my insurance every 6 months, which is less. So that's what I did. Cut every single thing down that I could. All that extra money went straight to paying off my student loan debt. Congratulations to Apple. You know what I'm thinking? What happens to all the goggles that are out right now? Once Apple comes out with their goggles, what happens to the value of all those goggles that are out right now? Who's going to buy those? The value of those goggles right now that are out today, as soon as Apple drops theirs, guess what happens to the value of those goggles? That's probably financed. There are people making payments on the goggles out today. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to finance the Google one. They're going to finance the Apple ones too. Look, we got this pair. Debt slaves love to show off their stuff. Hey, we used to have these ones. These ones work really, really good, but we have the Apple ones now, and because they wanted to just, hey, look how many things we're financing. And if they have it, you guys think they're rich. Who's rich? Apple's rich. That's wealth. One day I'm gonna take a tour of that building. Once Apple finds out what I do, I'm gonna get a tour of that building. Guaranteed. We're gonna help each other. Be awesome to work with an innovative company like that. Tesla's my main one though. Hey man, I would love to. Hey, listen, just to see that personally, I would love to see it. World-changing companies. Microsoft did it, changed the world. When I got into computers, the store I was telling you guys earlier, when I got into computers and understood what Windows 95 meant compared to the previous version of Windows 3.11 and 3.1, now I got it. Now I understood why it was a big deal going from Windows 3 to Windows 95. I was like, oh, that's why. It was the first beautiful GUI interface. I started understanding all that stuff, man, the language and everything. I was like, this ain't really that hard. It's all based on mathematics. I was really good, man. If I was debt free, making 6 figures, I would have made my job pay me double my salary. They would have been paying me way more than what they were paying me. Because I remember they used to come out with the numbers. Hey, we made some billions of dollars. I was like, billions with a B? You guys made $1 billion? How much am I making? Imagine you making $1 billion and then you pay somebody a six-figure annual salary. 6 figures annually. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. My goal is right now is to make the most amount of money using the least amount of time in my life. That's my goal. Now, when I'm doing what I love, like what I'm doing like right now, this doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I'm wasting time. It doesn't feel like any of that. I'm talking about when I have to actually do some work for the business or something or my other business. I want to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Any questions? Get on out of here. I know people's hear me saying, Apple, why would Apple talk to you? Because you guys don't get it. I bet you Apple would. I bet you any big company would. Like if you own, put it this way, if you own, say like you own some kind of tax firm and you don't know capitalism is psychological, I can help you be the best tax firm in your city, in your state. Say like you own an accounting firm and you don't know capitalism is psychological, I can make you the best accounting firm in your city or state. Hire other employees and say, hey, we teach, you work here, we got this program, we teach you capitalism is psychological, and this is how we do this and that and blah, blah, blah. Your employees will thank you for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. If you're a person with, if you're a person that has always had low self-esteem all your life, if you're a person that you feel bad because you didn't go to college and everybody's seen, all that changes. Low self-esteem goes away. You won't care about people going to college or how many degrees they have. That won't bother you anymore. Oh, their car is better than mine. Mine's old. I ain't got no payments, but they got a newer car with payments. Anybody making payments, it doesn't matter what they're driving. You got debt slaves making $1,500 a month payments on a car. Are you crazy? Guess where their car is going to be parked at? In the employee parking lot. Imagine how many debt slaves finance cars, and the majority of the time where the car is spent at home or in the employee parking lot, and they're making payments on that shit. Can you imagine an employer and their car lot is full of new cars? Your employees are not going anywhere anytime soon, anywhere. Oh, I got a promotion. I'm going to go treat myself to a new car. You went up in tax bracket and then you went and financed a car that costs more with the tax. You have no idea what you just did. And you don't even have to, even with that, Gabriel, you have to look like a brokey. Put it this way, I don't dress Gucci and all this other stuff, but when I dress, when people look at me, they look like, okay, he might not have anything fancy on, but he clearly is not broke. Then they'll look at my truck, my 1995 GMC Yukon. They'll say, oh, the truck's old, but it's really, really clean. It's really clean for a 1995. So To keep it that clean, you got to have some kind of money. When I see new cars and trucks and like put it this way, back to Elon. When his Tesla truck come out, it's almost like the Google. Oh, it's almost like the goggles. It's almost like the goggles. Debt slaves. Now you guys got to remember this, okay? Let's go all the way back out. Let's go to the positive side and understand capitalism is psychological. Debt slaves have no money to buy anything. Okay, remember that. So now Tesla has to ask the bank, how much will you finance our truck for? Because you got to remember, debt slaves have to go to ask the bank first. Before, if they want a Tesla truck, they have to ask the bank first. Okay. So the bank has to tell Tesla, I'm sure some negotiations go on in the background and say, okay, we'll finance this truck for this much. Tesla will determine, okay, how much does it cost for us to make this truck versus we sell it, which will make our profit. Once they get to okay, then they can sell the truck. They can't sell the truck without the bank they can't sell the truck without the okay from the bank first, because that's where the money's coming from. Debt slaves ain't got no money to buy no Tesla truck. They just want to be the first to have it, just like the goggles. They just want to be the first. And they'll finance their way to be the first. Yes, it does, Gabriel. You ain't lying. That's how information is passed to debt slaves. People are like, it's so crazy, man. Once you step out, hey, it is what it is. I don't really care. But what you can see, clearly the phone is your connection to the debt matrix. It's clearly your phone. I see you back there, Chris, but you got to cam up real quick, see who you are. I don't know. Got to cam up real quick so I can see your face. Okay, cool. All right. Welcome. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Hello? Unmute your phone. I mean, unmute the thing. There we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's going on?
Thanks for having me, man. It's actually Chocolate Nomad. I don't know how to switch it in but I've been following you for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
But I just wanted to run something past you real quick. You were talking about these cars. What's crazy is you finance a car and then you don't use it for business. So it's just sitting, you're paying on something that you're not even using.
Right. Not even using. You there? Uh-oh. I don't know if you're going in and out. I think we lost you again. Can you hear me? Oh, disconnected. And you guys got to remember, when you finance cars, you finance the taxes too at whatever interest rate the banks decides to finance the car at. So say like this, say like the cars, let's just keep the numbers low. The car's $5,000, taxes $1,000, so $6,000, and then they finance the whole $6,000, and your interest rate is 29.99%. So you're paying, not only are you paying $1,000 in taxes, you're paying 29.99% on it. And I just thought of this the other day too. When I was a debt slave, I used to always I used to go, how come, like when a car's brand new and they charge tax on it, I can understand why tax is being charged on it at that time. But after it's used, why is tax still being charged on it? That just never made any sense to me. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why is that? Because debt slaves finance the same car over and over again. When you buy a car in cash, You pay the price of the car and you pay for the tax, and then you're done. Now the car is yours, and then you drive it for years. Debt slaves will finance a car, keep it for a few years, finance another one, every single time, tax over and over and over and over. Now I get it. Now I get it. Can you imagine tax on the life of a car before it's crushed? They get tax on it all the way till it's crushed. All from people who finance cars. Because if you buy your car in cash and keep it for years, it's not happening over and over and over again because you bought it and you're done with it. The system is beautiful, man. I ain't gonna lie. It seems bad when you're on the negative side of it. Things seem pretty bad when you're over there. Like even with this economy right now, it's bad, but there's still a positive and negative side. There is a positive side to a negative economy. Okay. Afterpay services are making billions, so they're on the positive side of a negative economy. See, get it? Bad economy. And even now, listen, even me saying bad or good, those are feelings. That's how I feel about it. It's really irrelevant. It's like when somebody calls debt good and bad. Oh, there's some good debt versus bad debt. Those are feelings you have about your debt. There's nothing more than that. Social media is drama, just drama, time lost. Yeah, it is. And lust shit all the time. Everybody uses the same thing. Put a girl in a bikini on the thumbnail. Why? Because that gets clicks. Every time I see these guys that make videos traveling abroad or whatever they're looking for, what are their thumbnails? Always have a woman right up on top of the thumbnail so you can click on it. The majority, you know what's so crazy? The majority of people that are looking for something don't even realize all they got to do is look in the mirror. What you're looking for is your ownership of yourself. All you got to do is log in. You want to figure out what your problem is? Log into your online credit report and look at your total debt. That is the cost to buy yourself. If you ever want to own the business of yourself, log into your online credit report, grab the number for your total number of debt. That's how much it costs to own you, the business of yourself. That's how much it costs to own you. If you ever want to be free, that's how much it costs. I used to be just like you, ignore the student loans, pretend they're not there. As long as I just pay, just don't pay attention to it. Don't ever look at the balance. Do you know that's what you're supposed to do? If you get like that, like you don't want to look at the balance, you don't want to know how much it is, then you're doing according to plan. That's exactly where they want you to be. You don't want to pay attention to them more, which means you will die with it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you have chosen to die with student loan debt, guess what you just chose to die as? To die as a debt slave that had never been free your entire life. You're missing something. I'm going to tell you that right now. You don't want to die to have missed it. If you've never been to zero on your personal credit report, like you owe no debt, logged into your online credit report and it said all zeros, not the credit score, where the debt is. If you've never been to zero, I'm here to tell you that you are missing a major piece. There's a positive side to capitalism and you're missing it. I had a guy on my Facebook the other day claiming to be a multimillionaire and this and that, and I made all this money, but he's mixing business and personal debt, just swapping back and forth. And I'm like, I keep telling him, like, hey man, I'm just talking about business debt. Now, oh yeah, it's all business and personal. Oh, that means you don't know. You're a debt slave pretending to be a millionaire. What you guys don't understand is this. When you're a debt slave, you don't know there's a positive side of the economy. That means there's a language on the positive side of the economy that you also don't know exists. You speak a certain way over here. Like if I call myself a homeowner, that means I don't have a mortgage. If I buy a new car, that means I pay cash. That means I have no payments. When you guys say homeowner, you guys are talking about mortgages. When you guys buy a new car, you guys are talking about car loans. You guys think you can invest in retirement while having student loan debt. You think you can go to college, have the government pay for it, get you the good job that you got with the student loan debt. And then when you get the good job, you take the money that you earn from the new job that you got from the student loan debt money and start putting into retirement without paying back the government first. You can't do that. You wouldn't have the job to make the money, to put the money anywhere had you not got the money from the government to get the college degree. LJ, I can't imagine the board meetings of the big boys. Oh, I wish, man. I wish they invite, man. I'll just sit in the back room and just shut up. I wouldn't say a word. Hey, I'm just here. Thank you for inviting me. Shut the fuck up, LJ. Okay, sorry. LJ, we thought you said you didn't accept people talking rude. Well, I'm gonna make the exception this one time. All right. They can own Apple goggles but still have debt. Now, you guys know I'm joking. I highly doubt in these kind of meetings, I guarantee you nobody talks like that, okay? Not even close. I just picture, the only thing I can picture is what I see on the movies, okay? So that's really what the only thing I can picture. Because imagine when you watch movies, right? You got to remember when movies always portray wealthy a certain way. Unfortunately, a wealthy person is not going to come down and say, "Hey, man, I'm wealthy, and we don't do any of that. We don't do that. We don't have gold everything. We don't have servants to do this and that and jets and all." That's not true. They're not going to say that because they don't want you to know that they're wealthy. When I become wealthy, I'm not telling everybody. I'm not telling nobody nothing. I probably continue on saying, hey, when I get wealthy, I probably just say that for the next 15, 20 years. Me too. I picture what I see in the movies. Remember predictive program. That's the first thing I picture. A big room, big tall room with cathedral ceilings, paintings on the wall, a big old long table. It's probably nothing like that. That's probably just absolutely, that's like, think about it. Like when you see a detective show, like those stupid ass shows with LL Cool J was on for years. And then you sit down, imagine sitting down with a real detective watching that show with you. They probably will just laugh and joke, but people see that over and over and over again. They start to believe what the show is showing them. Now that, put it this way, now that I understand capitalism is psychological, I think about everything I was taught, everything. I question everything. Everything. You think I knew I couldn't save for retirement while having a mortgage? I did not know that. Here I am going to college. Math, listen, math is a requirement in college. That's a requirement. I went to college for 3 years, kept my student loan debt for 10 years. That's obviously I didn't do math, obviously. Why would I pay for a 3-year college 10 years? Those are the same people coming out later talking about, oh, college is so expensive. It's really expensive if you keep the student loans for 20 years. Can you imagine how many parents right now have student loans? Hey, my kid's graduating and everybody's taking pictures on social media. It's covered in social media. Half those parents still have their college student loan debt. Guarantee you they don't tell their children that part. You think their children know, hey, mom, dad, who's going to pay? I know you pushing me to go to college, but who is going to pay for it? And the majority of parents that kept their student loan debt all their life, never paid it off, they start feeling bad. And guess what they go out and do? Oh, fuck it. I'm going to die with my student loan debt anyway. So I might as well go ahead and get a Parent Plus loan. They already know that. That's why it's there. They know exactly who the majority of people who get Parent Plus loans, parents that still have their student loan debt. You think a parent that paid off their student loan debt and when their kid grows up, they're going to go out and get a Parent Plus loan for their kid? No, they're not. Exactly. Right. I could never watch that show. Ice-T as a rapper, when I was a kid, I used to love Ice-T. Ice-T as an actor, no, I couldn't do it. Never could get on board with that. Never could. That man made millions off of Law and Order. It doesn't matter what I think. Believe that. Ice-T made a killing. He made that's, and you got to think about that time. That was TV time. Those years where people sat down and actually watched the TV on a show. That was those years. Those days are gone. Anyway, well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm tired, man. My voice is tired. Thank you, everyone. Too bad Chris couldn't stay up here, but appreciate you trying. All right. Thank you, Nick, Omanike, Malika, Nicer, Gabriel, Pedro. You guys have a wonderful evening. Later.